Welcome to the sofa. I'm Sherry.
I'm Bonnie, and this is the Sisters Hallmark Sip and Chat podcast.
We're a couple of crown heads who love all things Hallmark.
Welcome back to the sofa, everyone. It's week 10, the final week of our Hallmark Countdown to Christmas 2022 episodes. Where has the time gone? In this episode, we'll be sipping chocolate candy cane martinis, and you can find the recipe on our website, sistersipandchat.ca. Feel free to pause so you can make your own. In this episode, we'll be chatting about this week's 6 movies entitled #Xmas, Twas the Night Before Christmas, The Gift of Peace, 5 More Minutes, Moments Like These, Hanukkah on Rye, and Holiday Heritage. Phew!
Movie number 1, #Xmas, starring Claire Bowen as Jen and Brant Daughtry as Max. Jen, an up-and-coming interior designer, enters a design competition highlighting her life as a wife and mother, except that none of that is true. She's torn between sticking with the lie that the brand loves or being genuine to who she really is. So let's find out how this movie rates on our SOFA rating system. But first, a quick explanation. Our custom SOFA rating system includes a list of 20 Hallmark tropes broken down into 10 categories that will determine how Hallmark is this movie. And you can download the list from our website, sistersipandchat.ca. So this movie earned 13 out of 20 SOFAs, and the categories are town holiday celebrations, location, 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 family and friends, affairs of the heart, and the charitable event was ticket sales from the dance going to local charities.
Okay, well, I enjoyed the movie and learning about herself, but I'm not a fan of the people signing up for other things and lying about them. That part I'm not crazy about. But she didn't need to go along with the idea, of course, and could have made it stop. But then I guess her personal journey that she needed to have, that was the storyline, would never have happened.
Yes, exactly. I think for most of the movie, she does, of course, act opposite of the genuine that she is supposed to be purporting to be in her business. And really, let's face it, the means really don't justify the ends. Like, what about the other people who applied for the contest as themselves? And like, aren't they a little bit cheated having not been chosen? However, you could tell it was eating her up. It wasn't like she happily lied. It was troublesome. So that's something, at least, that it did really bother her to not be
True, I
herself.
guess it added to a little bit of the humor that was underlining in there.
Yeah.
I did enjoy her design ideas, but the fact that her mom just happened to rent this beautiful home that she decorated lovely for the contest, but there wasn't even a lot of time to accomplish that, and they did it all. And I know that it takes a long time to plan, sort, do. So that was impressive if they actually could have done it in that timeline, but movie magic, things can get done fast. But of course, sometimes mother-daughter relationships can be very complicated. But the important meaning that I got out of this was that you never stopped trying, and they kept trying. So that was
for sure. Totally. Yeah, the way they decorated her mother's rental house was super pretty. I did absolutely love it. It did kind of stretch reality for sure. And her store, like right from the beginning, her store is just absolutely beautiful. Like I wish they highlighted more of her store. It was gorgeous. Had lots of that Tiffany Robin's egg blue through it. Super, super pretty.
I agree. And the new stepdad was a very loving and sweet character. I know he didn't have a big role in there, but the fact that he had such great understanding of his wife, he was able to integrate his knowledge of her to help, repair the relationship. So I thought that was really good. He actually had a need to be in the storyline other than the fact that her mom married 100 people.
Yeah, true enough. But I think that him being there was what helped put the glue together. And the fact that they had to be together to do this concept of lying to these people or whatever, they were kind of all in on the gag. I think he kind of was a good offset to all of that. The crazy girls, and then him trying to calm everybody down. I did appreciate that. I did like at the end, of course, it was finally a relief as a viewer when she finally told the truth. And then we find out other people are not telling the truth, including people from the brand too. I guess it's all about, everybody needs to face their own truth so that they can just move on and rebuild their lives bigger and better.
So at least it had a good meaning in the end.
It did in the end.
Okay, movie number 2, Twas the Night Before Christmas, starring Tori DeVito as Madison and Zane Holtz as Connor. With a little Christmas magic waiting in the wings, Eve gets her shot at directing her first play exploring the true authorship of the famous poem, A Visit from St. Nick. Let's see how this rates on our SOFA rating system. This movie rated 17 out of 20, which is a very good score. The breakdown categories are town holiday celebrations, location, 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 family and friends, affairs of the heart, big life changes, Christmas magic, and the charitable event, which the gingerbread houses for charity.
I love the ghosts in this movie. I loved how they used the ghosts in this movie in this magical way that they appeared and were on trial and giving their testimony was very cool. I love the chemistry between the main characters. That was really, it was realistic and it worked really well. I just love this movie as a whole. The story was very smart and funny and well played out. It was not something I knew about before this issue of the authorship of the story. Before I watched this movie, I didn't know anything about it, so it was really captivating and interesting for me. I love that there was a mystery and then of course the Christmas magic in it. It was really well done, I think.
I agree. This was an amazing storyline that really brought me personally back to thinking about the meaning of Christmas and families together, because this is the story. I bought one this year for my grandkids to read to them on Christmas Eve. So, I mean, this has gone through the ages with people. It's a staple of Christmas. So, and I had no idea that there was controversy behind it. So I would like very much that we investigate that. That was very, very interesting.
Totally. And the whole idea of the festival, this Victorian costumes in that little town.
Oh, yeah.
I loved that festival. I thought it was so cute. I totally would go and visit, and I would dress up in the whole thing.
Absolutely.
And I would love to go see a Christmas play like that. That would be so cool to see a live Christmas play on Christmas Eve as part of the festivities. Enjoyed that.
I agree 100%.
I'm also looking forward to watching this again next Christmas. This was top 3 for me.
I hope that they continue to come up with unique ideas like that where they challenge things. That was very good.
Movie number 3, The Gift of Peace, starring Nikki DeLoach as Tracy and Brendan Elliott as Michael. After the loss of her husband, Tracy also loses her faith, but finds hope and a path back to faith with the help of a grief support group at Christmas. Okay, so this movie earned a score of 9 out of 20 sofas, and the breakdown is town holiday celebrations, family and friends, volunteering, and the charitable event was volunteering at the youth center and wrapping gifts for the toy drive.
I found this movie a little bit hard to watch because it's like, not only did she lose someone, which is absolutely horrific, but she also lost her faith. And I think even though we typically as a sofa rating talk about Christmas magic where it's that obvious magic that you see in the movies, like we just did in the last movie where the ghosts appear, but I think the fact that in this movie she struggled with her grief and struggled with her loss of faith, which can make you feel like there's no way out because you don't even have that to turn to. I think the fact that she was able to gain her faith by the end of the movie is a true Christmas magic.
I agree. I think it's more the Christmas, that's the true Christmas spirit, right?
Christmas, yeah.
The faith and believing, and, at the time of year that people get that comes with Christmas and the story of Christmas for sure. Certainly this movie pulled every heartstring that I have. There's that one line, things that are broken can be made somewhat whole again. Of course, it's hard when you've lost someone you can't be completely whole, but the idea that, it's important to go through the struggles and the grief, but it's also important to work yourself out the other side of the grief. And certainly faith can get you there.
100%. This movie was so inspiring. And it was what Christmas is really all about. It's about helping others, loving others, remembering, really important to love yourself, and remembering to love your faith. It was interesting that the leader, Michael, who obviously is an amazing actor,
Yeah.
he wasn't truly able to deal with his own grief, but was working so hard to help with everyone else's grief to see if that would take his pain away.
Yeah.
And I think it just reminds us that grief is such a hard personal issue. Like, it's not the same for everyone. Everyone deals with it differently and in their own way. Like the one young girl, the singer, she didn't even really speak at all. But whatever happened when he took her to that mountainside to see that version close to heaven kind of look, it was her breaking point to move on. And that was really, like, didn't mean it did it for anyone else, but it did it for her. So that was really cool.
I agree. I really like that they highlighted the different people's path back to, healing through their grief, and that exactly everybody's path is different. I love that they chose this actor for that part because it could have been overdone or underdone. He's just one of my favorite Hallmark actors. I always look forward to the movies he's in each year because he has this sense of humor that also works in those serious moments too. It's never over the top one way or the other. I always feel his sincerity come through. So I really enjoyed him in this movie.
I totally agree. He did a wonderful job. And the singing in this movie was so wonderful, beautiful, moving. I really love that a lot. And that church was just a cute, quaint, small town little church. But it was so, so beautiful. I love that.
It was charming. Yeah.
And I love the perfect seat, best seat in the house.
Yes, the front row.
However, every seat
is a good seat.
Seat.
Yes, that's true. Every seat's a good seat. I do love that Faith was at the heart of this movie. It was heartbreaking in moments, of course, but then completely uplifting in others. And I think it was such a great addition to this year's lineup.
I 100% agree. And I think there's many people that are dealing with those situations right now that a movie like that could help them see the light or move towards it to start the healing process. Okay, let's go on to movie number 4, 5 More Minutes, Moments Like These, starring Ashley Williams as Caitlin and Lucas Bryant as Matthew. In the second movie inspired by Scott McCreery's song 5 More Minutes, widow Caitlin's Christmas wish for her son comes true in a surprising way when they return to their old home for the holidays. Okay, let's find out how it rates on our sofa rating system. This movie earned a score of 13 out of 20 sofas. Again, 2 amazing movies, low scores. The categories are town holiday celebrations, location, big life changes, Christmas magic, and the charitable event, the Yule House tickets for the food bank.
This was such a sweet movie. I think it actually proves the whole idea with low scores. It means that even if they only pick 1 or 2 tropes, if it's done really well, it turns out to be like score or no score, turns out to be a great movie. I really think this was a great movie. I love that they showed the dad through the different ages, like how they revealed this 5 minutes with him was like as a little guy. It was so cute all the way till, when he's an adult. And I think it was a clever way at the end how they revealed him to her as well, with her seeing all the little things throughout that pointed back to him, the sunglasses and all the little hints along the way that it was him and not just some random person.
Yeah, I agree. The dad coming to the son, that it choked me up so much. Like, it was so good. I love the switch on this concept. And I love the fact that, because if something was to happen to my husband, I couldn't imagine moving on with another person.
Yeah.
But it was so wonderful how the husband was the one who said, I chose him for you.
Right.
Like, to give her it was okay. But however, I really love the switch on the concept this time, that it was the little boy who was affected, but in such a good way, in a very good way. And he ended up getting such a good friend out of that.
Yeah, I think it was a good ending for both of the mother and son in this. I love that the son had this idea of the Yule house. I thought that was just so sweet and thoughtful, and the decorations throughout the house were so much fun. They were so festive, of course, but there was a lot of fun and childhood like laughter throughout it. I really enjoyed how they decorated that house. And of course, then they kept the house. So
No,
that was
I
nice.
agree. I would love to do the Yule House. Me and my husband,
Yeah.
he watched this movie. We watched both of the Christmas houses 1 and 2. But he warned me, don't get any ideas, Sherry. We're not doing this.
It was a great idea because, of course, they thought they were selling the house or whatever, but I think it was a really cool idea. I liked the cameo from Nikki DeLoach, who had played in the original movie, and that kind of tied the two together. Was glad, of course, that they stayed home after doing all that work to renovate it, thinking they were going to lose it. And then in the end, they got to rebuild their life in it. I think that was a very sweet ending to this movie.
I agree. And once again, it's trying to find your way through grief is such an individual experience that sometimes you really can't see what the other people in your life need to heal their own grief. So I thought that was really well done, that she was consumed with trying to do what was right, but wasn't seeing the whole picture. And again, very common mistakes. We've all had our own share of grief, and there's just no right way to handle that. So it was really wonderful that she had an opportunity that wish came true, because many of us, I'm sure, would have a wish like that and have not been blessed with that answer.
Yeah, once again, a different version of grieving, but also very well done.
Very, very well done.
Movie number 5, Hanukkah on Rye, starring Yale Grobus as Molly, Jeremy Jordan as Jacob, and Lisa Loeb as Natalie. Molly and Jacob, competing deli owners, find love through a unique matchmaking service that has them write letters to each other under a pseudonym, but it will take a Hanukkah miracle to keep them and their families' dreams together. Okay, so how did it rate on our sofa rating system? It earned 15 out of 20 sofas. And the categories are town holiday celebrations, location, 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 family and friends, affairs of the heart, big life changes, and the charitable events at the restaurant for the community.
Okay, this was so interesting to learn about another holiday such as Hanukkah. Yeah, and I know a little bit, but it was really interesting to hear greater detail, and all the songs, like those songs, that was just absolutely lovely. And to see that strength of family, like it's like a conviction for them, like that was, I really did enjoy that.
I agree. I enjoyed experiencing Hanukkah through this movie. It's not something that I've ever done before. And how connected the family deli is connected to their community. And as for the romance, I think the letter writing was such a clever way for them to get to know each other privately, without that everybody else in the mix or distraction of even being at a dinner or a movie or whatever. And of course, I love the movie You've Got Mail. And of course, it's very much like the movie You Got Mail, a movie just like I dearly love that movie.
Yes, the art of writing on pen and paper was wonderful and so uplifting. Okay, so let's all face it, the doorman was super funny and creative, trying to make a buck on joining that letter exchange.
And he was like deadpan for most of it, so you could never read his face. So cool. And like there's, Lisa Loeb, walking on stage performing a Hanukkah song. I love her. And I just thought that is just so awesome. And I also loved, of course, really cool to learn about the different aspects of their heritage through the events that they held at the deli. I especially like the daily lighting of the candle and the recitation that they did every single time they lit a new candle. Really appreciated that.
That was absolutely beautiful, and I wish we had something like that in our own culture, because that was really quite nice. And the different foods and family recipes through the ages, that's a wonderful concept, and I'm sure that happens in many different cultures. But not only did it teach us about Hanukkah and the foods and their community, but it also gives us that reminder that there's many ways that we're all connected. Because this connection of these two families was very strong.
And they didn't even know it. Before it was revealed to them. Yes, it was hilarious watching the Bubbies And their lock cabal. I think it was at latkes. I can't remember how you pronounce it, but it was so cute. And then, of course, that sweet outcome when they find out that their mothers both met on the boat to Ellis Island. And then, of course, the kids, Molly and Jacob, ultimately join together, have the same deli instead of competing ones, and they rename the deli after their grandmothers. So that was super special.
That was really sweet. Again, not as tearjerker as a couple of the other ones this week, but it still moved me for sure. And I'm really grateful to have learned a little bit more about another culture. Right. On to our final movie of the week. Movie number 6. Actually, it's our final movie of our season.
Yeah.
Holiday Heritage, starring Lindy Greenwood as Ella, Brooks Darnell as Griffin, and Holly Robinson Peete as Micah. Ella enlists the help of her ex-boyfriend Griffin to repair her mother and her grandmother's relationship by celebrating Christmas and Kwanzaa together. Let's find out how it scored on our SOFA rating system of 15 out of 20. The categories are town holiday celebrations, location, family and friends, affairs of the heart, big life changes, and the charitable event, silent auction for local art programs.
The loss of Ella's grandpa, once again, a loss, is felt right from the beginning of this movie. Of course, it's just so tough to move on after you lose someone special to you. And it's especially so at the holidays, it seems. But focusing on family, which she starts to do, and the festivities around all of that certainly does help. Even if your heart still hurts, getting out there with your family and celebrating and bringing that joy into your life, I think really helps you get past that first initial holiday season without the person that you love.
Absolutely. And once again, I enjoyed learning about the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, which I didn't know there was such a thing. I had no idea about the beautiful candle lighting, and the grandfather's message to Ella about family being first and foremost. That was very moving. And I was grateful she figured out how she could apply that with encouraging Kwanzaa celebrations as a family and showing them that video so that they knew that they would be honoring him in doing these things.
I agree. I loved learning more about Kwanzaa. I didn't know much about it and how it was celebrated. It actually inspired me to look up the history of the holiday and what those 7 principles were. And I was also happy to see the traditional outfits that they ended up wearing at the festival. It was great. And then singing the Christmas carols by the Christmas tree in the town square. So they had the Christmas celebration, and I think that was very sweet. And I'd totally be up for that. And then it was very clever idea on Ella's part to get her mom and grandmother to work together on those Kwanzaa cookies to get them thinking about those 7 principles and bringing them back together.
Yes, the cookies needed a huge team to prepare, but it kind of looked in the movie like Ella was the only one doing the 1,000 Kwanzaa artwork on the cookies. I mean, there was a lot of people that needed to bake them. I realized baking takes a lot of time. I really feel a little bit that they had missed an opportunity of explaining when the cookies were handed out to the individuals at the event, that they were to apply the principle they received on the cookie. I mean, they told us during it so that we kind of knew this was going to happen, but it would have been nice to see that during the event and how they would have shared that information and what that might have looked like, just for people like ourselves who are not as familiar with the 7 principles. About Kwanzaa as a whole. So I that was the only part I thought they missed, but I thought it was a very good story. Again, the mother-daughter trauma.
I agree with you. I think they could have done more to explain that. I know it got interrupted because the mother and daughter had an argument at the one point. But it would have been nice for them to maybe go into a little bit more detail what the 7 principles were. I looked them up and they're very fascinating. I thought it was really interesting way to celebrate the African heritage. But I would have liked to have seen a little bit more. Maybe in future movies, that's what they'll do.
Yeah. I totally agree that this has been a wonderful end to our countdown to Christmas season number 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's the end of season 2. There's a major snowstorm outside and my power is flickering off and on.
Oh, really? Okay.
So
let's talk
let
about the
me-
drink. Yeah.
Yeah. The chocolate candy cane martini. Okay, here's my perspective. It was very sweet and it was very messy to dress, but it looked so good.
Oh yes, I agree with you. I think that if you're going to serve something that looks holiday like, this is a good choice.
So this season, there were many movies I loved this year. Many that are going to go right up into my top 10. But I must be honest, there were a few that were not so great in this year's lineup, which were a bit disappointing. But at least they did not fail in ending us with the great feels at the end of the season. This season lineup had many ups and downs, but this last episode, all 6 movies, did exactly what they needed to do. They really brought me into the spirit, the excitement, the feels. I can't wait to see what the lineup for season number 3 is.
Agreed. I definitely agree with you. There were some maybe not so favorites for sure this year. I think we've talked about those ones, but definitely there were some favorite like movies this year that will literally be my favorites. Like I save them on my PVR and I'm really looking forward to watching them again every year. The highlights for the season for me were A Fabled Holiday, The Royal Nanny, Three Wise Men and a Baby, and that dance, that dance, people. A Big Fat Family Christmas. I really enjoyed that one. And Twas the Night Before Christmas, because I think that was such a clever, mystery. I really enjoyed that. And my favorite drink was the sparkling cider sangria to actually drink, but I tell you, I love how the chocolate candy cane martini looks.
Totally agree.
All right.
See you all next year.
See you next year. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year.
This episode was brought to you by Hamish Community Services, opening doors by taking the dis out of disabilities. You can find out more information at hamish.ca.
Well, fellow Crown Heads, we've come to the end of today's chat.
You can find all our episodes on your favorite podcast network.
And on our website, sistersipandchat.ca. Subscribe and never miss a chat session.
Thanks for listening. Join us next time.
And we'll save you a seat on the sofa.